In 1990, they put a couple of small platinum wires into a Petri dish that contained highly infected human blood. And the infection here was a very, very strong dose of HIV, which is supposedly the cause of AIDS. They found that if they had when they had electrified this blood, the HIV could no longer attach to any receptor sites in the blood. That means the CD4, the T cells, helper cells, could not be infected by the HIV. They predicted in an article, which is in your paper, you don't need to take any notes tonight, the only mention of this incredible discovery was in Science News, March the 30th, 1991, page 207. And don't ever get old, you'll need these. Shocking treatment proposed for AIDS. And it tells about how these two doctors had given a paper on this process, William D. Lyman and his colleagues, the research team at Albert Einstein. Their experiments described March 14th in Washington, D.C. at the first International Symposium on Combination Therapies showed that the shocked viruses lost the ability to make an enzyme crucial for their reproduction and could no longer cause the white cells to clump together, two key signs of viral infection. The only papers which I was able to find that got into the American press were Science News, March 30th, 1991, an article in Longevity magazine, and these are fully reprinted in your papers, electrocuting the AIDS virus. But what happened in the Longevity article, which was December 1992, page 14, Dr. Colley said, it will be 15 years before this process is ready for human experimentation. We have been doing it sub rosa with patient consent for over 5 years here, and we have the test results to prove it. And every time I lecture, about a dozen people came up. We had 800 people in one room on Saturday, and say, Bob, this is an 80-year-old attorney. He's on my tape. You can hear him tell you this in his own voice. I was sent home to die. My cancer had metastasized all through my lymph system. I was told to go home and make my will. I, at the most, had about 2 or 3 weeks to live. Were any of you there when this man grabbed the microphone and gave us? Usually there are 2 or 3 people who heard this gentleman. He's 80 years old and an attorney. He said, I went home and I made my will, and I saw your article in some magazine. I think it was 73's. It's been republished in dozens of magazines. He said, I did it. I am now free of all cancer. My biopsies are clean. My CAT scans are clean. I went back to work, and having been an attorney, I had to work 16 hours for a few months to catch up for all the time that I was in intensive care. Now I'm jogging 3 miles a day. And there were tears running down his face. We've had women who have had lupus for about 10 years, barely able to make it from the couch in front of the television to the bedroom to the potty. They're back at the malls now, spending their husband's money, walking around, being able to hold jobs full time. Do any of you know Linda Wright, who comes to our Dowsers meeting? She brought in a clean blood test one day and said, my doctor had to send this to 2 different labs. He's never seen a person with clean blood after that person has had lupus, had been tracked for about several years. We have dozens of these people, and not one of these people went to the doctor for the cure except the people that are on this IRB, Institutional Review Board study, at a hospital in Huntington Beach and Newport Beach, California. Now the point is, in my humble opinion, and we can put anything against this because we know it's true at this time, when I first started this, I thought this is kind of interesting. I've looked into 500 things that never worked. The Rife machine never worked. Hulda Clark's machine does not work. Many of these devices work only marginally. And I thought, I'm about to be taken in again. I have built Lakowski multiple wave oscillators, as you know. I see some very old dear friends in here. I've built almost every electromedical device while I've been in California, which is since World War II began. And these things worked at best marginally. But the thing which you can build for yourself, the circuit diagram and all of the instructions for building this are in the paper. This is the one I designed in 1991 to make an experimental study with, and an electronics store, I get not one nickel from the tens of thousands of dollars of these kits they've sold. There's a parts list on the back of the page, page 4, that tells you, even if you don't know what a resistor is or a condenser or a relay, take it in, set it on the counter at Radio Shack, and give me one of these, and these, and it'll come up the total price, retail, for one. If you buy it this way, it costs $49.24. If you build it yourself, it'll cost $15 to $20. And this machine will not only make colloids, which is the most powerful medicine known to man, which is why the FDA has stamped it out recently. It will put this small electrification into your blood, which will neutralize. Now, I hate this word. My doctorate in physics was 1955. My engineering degree from USC was 1948, and I was taught never to use this word. But I'm going to read something to you shortly that you will not believe until you see it with your own eyes. This little device and no, I did not build this. I do not sell them. And a couple of electrodes connect this to the pulse points, the pressure points on your wrist, and that's the radial artery where you feel your pulse. I'll hook this up later if there's time and show you exactly what you do. And the ulnar, U-L-N-A-R artery, where you feel the other pulse. When this box is turned on, and these little lights are flashing, red and green, that prove that your battery is up, it's reversing polarity so it can't possibly harm you, your body, your cells. It puts a small electrification into the body that, according to the 14 U.S. patents, these are legal government documents, remove all, not 99.999%, but all parasites, viruses, fungus, microbes, pathogens, everything in that blood that does not belong there, that was not there the day you were born, are eventually being a couple or 3 weeks, neutralized and are discarded by your body, dead or alive, by the spleen, in case it's the lymph tissue, the kidneys, and the liver. And this is darned exciting. But wait, let me show you how the hospitals that ran to the patent office to get protection on this elephant plan to do business. Now just hold on, you've got a big surprise coming. I theoretically set these things out before I started. I don't know where they are, but Ivan, would you come up here and look over my shoulder for a second and make sure we're not doing a fasty? For those of you who don't get the paper, we're reading from U.S. Patent 5188738 that was presented to Dr. Colley on February the 23rd, 1993.
Absolutely right.